Hi, Larry. I just want to ask you if it's okay to record this conversation.
Well, most certainly, John. No problems.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is John Fraundorfer and my colleague Derek Watson from the Denver Construction Careers Program. And we are here to talk with Larry Walsh. He's the Vice President of SEMA Construction. And you may have heard recently that they have just given a generous gift of $86,000 for Urban Gardens work now and the Metro State University. So we want to touch base on that as well, maybe a little bit later in the conversation. But first, we just wanted to get to know you a little bit. Larry, tell us a little bit about SEMA Construction, your role with SEMA, and how you became involved with construction.
Sure, I sure will. Um, SEMA Construction has been here. This is our 30th year now. We're founded here in Denver, and we're a heavy civil contractor. Types of projects we do are the civil type infrastructure from streets to highways to dams to airports, that type of work. We're consistently named one of the top employers via the Denver Post in that program. We're listed as one of the top 400 contractors through ENR. Our key markets, as I said, was a lot of highways, bridges. We do railroads as well from time to time. We've got four offices. Headquarters is here in the Denver metro area. We're actually in Centennial, but we're also in Orlando. We're also in Dallas, and we're also in Southern California. Those are three other places we have offices and operate out of. So totally, since our inception, we've done about 3.6 billion worth of public infrastructure projects, and we do about 300 million a year across the country. And out of all of that, we probably self-perform half of that, about 150 million a year, which means we've got a pretty good employee workforce on board to put those projects in place. Here in Colorado, a couple of our key clients actually is City and County of Denver and also the Colorado Department of Transportation. Um, so that's kind of the work we do. We do a lot of the traditional, what we call design bid build, where an agency such as Denver advertises a project and we bid on it and it's awarded to the lowest bidder. We've also gotten into, for the last 15 years actually, what we call alternative delivery. And that's projects that we are based on best value award. And we've done several of those for the city and county of Denver. And that's kind of the area that I end up being in, pursuing those projects, getting shortlisted for those projects to compete. Sometimes we have the designer on our side and we put those projects together and then present them to an owner and get selected. And sometimes the owner decides to keep the engineer on their side, and we ended up working with the engineer and eventually negotiating a contract price with the owner. So that's the type of stuff we do here at SEMA. It's the type of stuff I do. My background is somewhat interesting. You'll probably find it. I do have quite a bit of background in the city side, if you will. Formerly as a hobby, I call it a hobby. I was the mayor for 4 years in Loveland, Colorado, sat on city council for 10 years, and for 7 years I chaired the planning commission. So I'm very much, I see both sides of everything, especially working with owners. And that's one of the values I bring is I can see it from the owner side and understand their positions and their challenges. And then what we offer are the solutions on the private contracting side. I've been here in this business for 42 years, all of it in Colorado.
Great.
So,
That's fantastic. So I know you just had a project for the 39th Avenue design build project. Can you tell us a little bit about that, 39th Avenue?
yeah, I sure will. That was actually our third design build project with the city and county of Denver. And I've been on all three of the projects as the design build project manager. And we actually had the very first project for Denver, which was became the role model or the model for all other projects in alternative delivery relative to design build. That was a very interesting project for us as well. I'll tell you about the 39th Avenue project, though. It's part of a much larger project. It's actually part of a $300 million drainage project for the city and county of Denver. And Denver, there was 4 elements to it. One of it was the Globeville Landing, which is the outfall of this drainage basin, this project. 39th Avenue was a piece of it. The Park Hill Detention Area, which we also had, was a piece of it. And then the City Park Golf Course next to the zoo, that was a piece of the project. That whole redevelopment of the golf course was actually part of this big drainage project. For the last 100 years, this area of Denver always flooded out during significant rainstorms. And the drainage basin actually goes all the way back to the Lowry Air Force Base. So it's the largest drainage basin in the Denver metro area. So we came along and Denver said, we'd really like to do something a little bit different, just not make this a typical drainage project and put all the water underground. We think there might be some more value for the community. One of those was to put some of this in an open channel along 39th Avenue and create a 1.5 mile long or 12 acres of park that's now a park for this area. This part of Denver was somewhat a area that was in one of the older parts of Denver. A lot of the houses that we were next to were 130 years old. So it's an area that kind of got neglected and needed some redevelopment in it. And this project has really served as a catalyst for redevelopment of a lot of the properties down in that area. In fact, there's a lot of private development going on that's putting up 8-story condo apartment type buildings. And you're just seeing the whole area get redeveloped, which is fantastic. Denver also elected to do it was the very first shared street. It's a street on 39th Avenue, which has no curb or gutter. It's a shared street, meaning it's shared pedestrians, traveling public, whether you're in a car or on a bicycle, you're sharing the same area. Which is kind of an interesting concept. At first you sort of think, well, that's not going to work well. But it's really turned into a very nice plaza area.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
One of the other things this project introduced was what's called a natural playground. We've got 2 areas that are composed of a lot of natural elements, some large old trees and whatnot. Which I encourage anybody to go down there and see it, which have become these very nice playgrounds for kids. I mean, it's really something to see. A lot of these trees came out of Canada, quite frankly, and they're very large and they're treated, and they're this tremendous playground. The whole area has been used a lot. In fact, it was used before we ever got done with construction by a lot of the neighborhood. Walking their dogs at night and stuff, and people just creating a more mobile environment between the communities down there. This stretch of land used to be occupied by the railroad, and it really dissected the community. There was no real good way across. And so Denver finally figured out this would be a great place to reconnect communities.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Gets rid of that whole the other side of the tracks kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Larry, you talked a lot about, community. And I know that's an important value at SEMA. And I know, John, in your introduction, you mentioned the cash gift that you all have given to Denver Urban Gardens and Work Now and MSU. Can you tell us how these particular organizations were selected?
Sure. Actually, I'll start off with Denver Urban Gardens. Part of our project set aside an area for Denver Urban Gardens. It's a fenced area. We provided the planters, the place to plant a garden, the tool shed, the tools. And what it is the community residents will sign up and they will be assigned through DUG a certain plot or area of the gardens. And the whole idea is, to help reconnect communities and people. We
Mm.
seem to have lost that element in society a bit where people just don't even know their neighbor. And this creates a good way of knowing your neighbor and getting out and, I'll just say going back to the basics, a sense of community. So
Mm-hmm.
we're really thrilled to be able to offer some dollars, some incentive to help keep those gardens growing, to provide to pay for the maintenance and whatnot, or however DUG decides to use those funds.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
You know,
think that,
oh,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we think that's a big community thing. We are all about community, and I've shared with you my background. So I just don't talk the talk. I actually walk the talk when it comes to communities and participating. We provided a big portion of this to the Work Now program. As we said before, we really are so dependent upon the workforce. And without the labor at any level in our business, we need good quality people. And it gets harder and harder every year to get people into our industry. I don't know if our industry's too hard or what it is, but it's harder to attract young people into it. And some of it maybe is the skills they need or they don't feel comfortable with those skills. But our best bet is to be able to hire people that will stay with us for the long term, not the short term, and people who are local. We do travel around the country. We do have offices throughout the country. But ideally, the ideal employee is right there with us in the community. It just works out so much better.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's music to our ears at the city. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question about training, because one of the things we're discovering is if employees have that sustainable career, it's often tied to the types of training and apprenticeships that they're involved in. Do you guys have any kind of training program apprenticeships that you offer within your organization?
We do. More and more clients are asking about workforce development. And quite frankly, at the federal level, projects with federal dollars, it's a requirement to have a training program. A lot of our training program, we operate through the Colorado Contractors Association, which has
Mm-hmm.
a qualified program with the DOT. Um, and through that, we offer training, and it depends what kind of skill you're getting into, whether it's an operator or a carpenter, or what skill set. And they go through that program. We have to document all the hours, provide the training, and a lot of it's a mentor type program where we'll put a young or a person that doesn't have that training next to a seasoned veteran, if you will, a qualified person to teach
Mm-hmm.
them those skills.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's a great way to build that type of stability within your organization, and I'm glad to hear you guys are actively involved in that. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for offering us to share it because it's something as an industry we have to do. We
Right.
really have to do to be competitive and to get the qualified people into the workforce.
Exactly. Speaking of that too, I wanted you to touch on the reason that you also donated to the Metro State University of Denver.
Sure. Metro State offers something that it's kind of a different level for us, but it's more at a level of our engineering type people,
Mm-hmm.
where people will perhaps go to college and be able to come out and do more than the craft level type folks. And we need people at both ends. So what Metro State offers for a lot of people graduating from their program, these are first time graduates in their entire family history,
Mm-hmm.
which means a lot to them. And I can speak to that. I was the first time graduate in my family tree. So I get it, I understand it. So we wanted to provide hopefully a scholarship on a need basis for those who are challenged of getting that education, or maybe to help support other members of their family, if you will, why they are getting that education, because it is so important. So we wanted to, everybody has a limited amount of funds to spread around or donate, and we tried to spread it around a bit. Right. And we hope we'll make a difference in every area that we've been able to.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
But we're, sensitive to the climate, the economic climate. I think we all are right now. There's, based on 2020, the COVID, and everybody saw it, the unemployment and how the numbers are coming back. And there's a lot of people out there right now that are maybe wanting to leave an industry they used to be in, hospitality perhaps. And we'd love to attract people to come into our industry. Mm-hmm. We think there's a lot of future opportunities coming up perhaps very quickly here, based on what you heard from the president the other night, and trying to create jobs programs for people throughout the country.
Right, and even in the Denver metro area, the announcements recently as well.
Yes, absolutely. When you've got a good economy and people working, everything just kind of clicks and comes together.
Right. Exactly. So, is there anything that anything else you want to share with the viewers about SEMA construction or any other topic?
Boy, anybody who watches this, I'd encourage you to give us a shout, to come out and see where you can fit in, how you can get on board. We are always looking for good people. And we're looking for people that, one of our biggest challenges is long-term employees. We're not looking for somebody who just wants to be here for 18 months. We make a big investment and we want that investment to pay off, and for the employee and for us.
Absolutely. And there's huge amounts of opportunity in the construction industry, and so many crafts and so many projects that are coming down the line. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Absolutely. Anything else you wanted to say, Derek?
No. And thank you so much, Larry. It's been quite informative, and we appreciate what you do.
And we appreciate what all of you do, and it takes all of us working together.
Absolutely, and thank you again for taking the time, and again, thank you for your company's generous gift. I think that's really going to help the community in the area. Absolutely.
You bet. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Thanks.
Bye.